Am I the first word to happen?
You're live, sir. Go for it. You're on.
Right this minute.
Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, patriots across the great republic under God, welcome to Town Hall, the flagship broadcast of the Red America First organization. Red America First is a nonprofit organization dedicated to uniting Christian patriots to reclaim America's founding principles of faith, freedom, and constitutional governance. Through 8-pillar leaders, the bold leadership of our state directors, we educate, take grassroots action, and relentlessly pursue truth, training leaders, exposing corruption, and igniting revival to secure a God-honoring future. Town Hall is the nation's most engaging platform where we, the people, run the show. I'm your guest host tonight, Dr. Douglas G. Frank, the Johnny Appleseed of election integrity and one of RAF's election integrity pillar leaders. I'm filling in at the request of Ashley and Valerie, who had a family emergency. They call me the Johnny Appleseed of election integrity because of my nationwide work in 48 states. Last week, I was in Shasta County, for example, in Northern California, one of the spearhead places for election integrity in the country. And next week, I'm going to be in Alabama for a week working with several of the teams there. What I do is I teach local teams how to reclaim local control of their elections as part of and make that as part of a statewide effort. If you'd like to reclaim the elections in your community, send me an email, drdouglasgfrank@outlook.com. No periods, no spaces, drdouglasgfrank@outlook.com, and I'll send you a brochure and checklist to help you get started. Some of you may recognize me from Mr. Lindell's documentaries, especially Scientific Proof, which featured in March 2021 my election and fraud investigations in several states, proving that the elections were being centrally controlled in all states. President Trump also featured me at his first rally after being out of office in Wellington, Ohio. He asked me, Dr. Frank, please explain to the world how they stole my elections. Next Thursday, join Ashley and Valerie on Town Hall for a doubleheader with Oklahoma's gubernatorial candidate, Jake Merritt. He will be giving us an update on his campaign, principle over politics, and Oklahoma State Senator for District 43, Kendall, I don't know how to say that. I'm going to say Sacheri, probably right. I don't know. She will be exposing real ID threats and protecting privacy and defending Oklahoma's freedom. Don't miss this powerful discussion. By the way, Oklahoma's legislature is also corrupt. I was banned from the state. They wouldn't let me near any of their election machines because I could prove they were online. Anyway, another topic. Pastor's Point will resume Monday, January 26th, with chapter 14 of the book of Revelation. Tonight, we are pleased to have Ralph Pezzullo, New York Times bestselling author and author of the recently published book, Stolen Elections. The book exposes a 19-year global plot to sabotage elections in over 70 countries, including Smartmatic's ties to Venezuelan elites, drug cartels, and U.S. susceptibility. Ralph is going to break down foreign espionage, domestic abuse of power, and possible strategies for patriots to secure our elections in 2026 and beyond. Every week, we start our podcast with prayer, the Pledge of Allegiance, and the national anthem. Everyone, please let's bow our heads as Dr. Aaron Gray, host of Pastor's Point, leads us into prayer tonight. Thank you, Pastor Gray. Not hearing you, brother. You're muted, yeah. Can we unmute the pastor? It's the First Amendment, you know. Freedom of speech and freedom of religion.
Okay, thank you.
There he is.
All right. That better. Thank you, guys. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, Lord God, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for this time that we can all come together and learn and grow and see the truth and shine light in the darkness in this dying world, Father. Lord, we know and we see that this world is indeed dying and decaying because of sin that is rampant in this place. So, Lord, we ask you to fill us with your power, saturate with your presence, Holy Spirit, so that we may stand boldly against this darkness, against this wickedness, Father, reminding us always that it's not against flesh and blood that we fight, but against the wickedness and the evil spirits that are in the high places, Father, Lord, to remind us that our enemy is not other people. Our enemy is not those who are on the other side of the aisle, but our enemy is the one who decides to come against you, to come against your people, his church, we, your children. So as we move forward in this, we ask you to remind us, Father, that what we ought to do, what we should strive to do, is to always be diligent in serving and pleasing and honoring you. So that's what we desire here now. Every thing that is said, every decision made, every goal presented, everything achieved, Father, should be done with the sole purpose of pleasing and honoring you. And Lord, we just ask you to lift up this country, lift up the people who run it here, Father, our leaders, Lord. Remind them and put in their hearts to have a heart for you, a desire, Father, to serve you. As your word says, when the righteous are in charge, everyone rejoices. When the wicked is in charge, everyone is hurt. So, Father, we come before you now praying and asking, Lord, that we have a righteous time with the righteous leaders in charge. In the precious name of Jesus, we all say,
Amen.
Amen.
All right, Rob, you're up. Founding member of Red America First, you're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. He's also muted.
Okay, there we go. Okay, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Amber, make sure your mic is on. Let her rip.
Sorry. Okay. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Atta girl. Well done, Amber. I'm a musician, so I especially appreciated your good intonation. That's hard to do, too, without good feedback. All right. Hey, nice to meet you, Ralph. Doug Frank.
Nice to meet you.
I hadn't met you. I think I may have bumped into you before at one of the events, but in the beginning of your book, you describe how you got into this mess.
Yes.
And got involved into this book. For the people who haven't had the pleasure of reading your book, by the way, my copy was given to me by a bunch of kids, a bunch of my team in Alabama. They bought one and gave it to me. So
fantastic.
it's not signed by you, but it's signed by a bunch of people in the election integrity movement. But anyway,
Cool.
Tell us about yourself. Tell us how you got involved in this, so that
Okay.
everybody will know kind of good introduction here.
Yeah, so I was born in New York City. My parents are from New York City. They're the children of Italian immigrants. When I was 5 years old, my father, who was a history teacher, he took the Foreign Service exam, which is the exam to enter the diplomatic service of the United States, and he passed it. And from there, we just sort of led a life of adventure. He was posted in Mexico, Vietnam, Bolivia, Colombia, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Uruguay. He rose to become an ambassador twice and assistant deputy secretary of state. Now, my background is I started as a journalist, and I became a playwright and an author. I've written over 30 books, written screenplays, etc. In 2005, I was approached by a CIA operations officer named Gary Burnson, who was the man who put the teams together and led the combined special forces CIA effort in Afghanistan, and with the help of the Air Force and airstrikes, they overthrew the Taliban in about 3 weeks. And then they had bin Laden, Osama bin Laden, trapped in Tora Bora. So, you know, he is a CIA, he's a hero, an amazing man. I've been in touch with them over the years, and we're good friends. And in the spring of 2024, a different gentleman approached me, a man named Martin Rodil, who said he was working with Gary, and he was in Los Angeles, and he wanted to meet me for lunch. I was happy to meet him. He turns out to be one of the top investigators for the DEA. Over the years, he's done like all kinds of amazing work for the DEA, breaking up drug cartels and recovering money, laundered money from drug cartels, drug sales. And I asked him what he was working on. He said, I've been working on election fraud for 3 years, and which piqued my interest. And he said, I want to show you a presentation that Gary and I have put together, and we're showing members of Congress. So I went to see the presentation. It was about 3.5, 4 hours long, and it absolutely blew me away because they had kind of unraveled the whole conspiracy behind the election machines and the software that have been used in our elections for 18 some years. And I asked them what I could do to help, and they asked me to write a book. So I did. And that's, you just showed them the results, and all that information is in there. And it's pretty shocking. It has been, all of it, the good news is that all of it has been presented to the Justice Department and the FBI, and they've corroborated everything. And they are currently serving subpoenas and getting ready to indict people.
Outstanding. I'm aware of a lot of that because of my work, and it's true. There's a lot going on. I still tell people that there's not a lot of appetite at the legislative and Congress level for election reform. And so even if you have all of the evidence, such as you describe here, nothing's going to happen unless the American people rise up. I like President Trump's tweet he made back in August. He didn't say, I'm going to take over American elections, I'm going to fix everything. He said, I'm going to lead a movement.
Yes.
And that is a key principle that I've learned. You know, I'm a scientist, I'm a physicist, and I tend to rely on evidence and data and math, and I come to logical conclusions. And so it's natural for me, but I made a mistake in the first couple of years of my work, starting back in 2020, thinking all I had to do was show people the evidence. And once they saw the evidence, they'd be like, ah. And
No.
it's the same way with here. You're giving all this evidence, and really this is on the machine side. Although I like it in the first chapter, you allude to what the bulk of what my work is. We can come back to that, but this interview is about you, so I'm trying to stay on that. But I stress that even though it's wonderful that Congress has seen it, even though it's wonderful that you publish the book, even though it's wonderful everybody sees it, unless people get off their butts and get busy and wake up and engage, we're toast. It really, it's a call to action is really what it is.
It's a call to action, absolutely. And there's resistance everywhere, a lot of resistance in the media, and there's even resistance as far as the White House. I mean, there are people who
I know that's true.
Who don't want to see this change.
Right.
They like the system that's in place, and they want to keep it that way.
I tell people all the time, the reason it's that way is because they're in control of it.
Yes.
They like it. They're in power. They're in control. Why would you want to rock that boat? And it's not a red-blue issue.
Absolutely. It's not. This book points that out. We've been attacked by a foreign cartel.
Yes.
Which includes Venezuela, Cuba, China, Iran, and Russia. And there are a lot of people working with the cartel here in the United States, which is unfortunate. There are people who, like us, who believe in the great experiment of democracy, and believe that every individual citizen should have the right to make a choice about what kind of government they want and who their leaders are and what the policies are. And then there are other people who tend to be on the more prosperous side of things, who like being in control and are
Yes.
easily swayed to be members of a system that controls everything, and especially votes. They don't trust the wisdom, the common sense of people, and they want to be in. They side with the totalitarians and people who want to deny people the right to make their own decisions.
I appreciated. I read your book about 3 months ago, and then because I knew I was going to be interviewing tonight, I kind of skim read it and also hit a couple of the sections again, and I think it was better the second time through. There's a lot of data in there, a lot of technical data,
Yeah.
and I think most people are not computer literate. I'm different than most people. I was one of the first 300 people on the internet. I was building computers and programming computers back in the 70s. So to me, as I'm reading through this, I'm getting the lingo. I know what you're talking about. But can you explain for the people that are going to see this in simple terms what it is that has been exposed?
Okay, well, basically what's been exposed is that starting in 2004, when Hugo Chavez was president of Venezuela, he faced a referendum in that country. And Hugo Chavez was very close to Fidel Castro. Fidel Castro was almost like a father to him. And Fidel Castro went to Hugo Chavez and said, "You're going to lose the referendum. All the polling shows that you're behind."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, well, what am I supposed to do?" And Fidel Castro and his intelligence service said, "Well, there's a new thing now called election machines, and they are programmed with software. And if you are able to find people who can create software that has backdoors into it, you have the facility to change votes and steal elections without anybody seeing it." So Hugo Chavez said, "Okay, let's give it a try." They found 3 engineers in Venezuela who were graduates of Simón Bolívar University, which is sort of their equivalent to MIT. I should tell your listeners, it's important to understand that Venezuela might seem like a banana republic, but it's not. It's got the highest oil reserves in the world. It's an extremely wealthy country. It has big deposits of gold and other natural resources. And it's a country that's controlled by a criminal cartel known as the Cartel del Soles. And the Soles are the members of the military in Venezuela, and they control all drug trafficking in the Western Hemisphere and a lot of drug trafficking to the Middle East and Europe. And that is also, they derive somewhere between $2 to $3 trillion a year from that drug trafficking. So we're talking about a country with tremendous resources. What happened in 2004? So they hired these 3 engineers. Their names are Antonio Mujica, Alfredo Jose Anzola, and Roger Piñate. Roger Piñate, by the way, has been indicted, and he's facing charges in Florida right now, federal charges. And these gentlemen came up with software. There were no such thing as a electronic voting machine in those days. So they installed the software into Olivetti touchscreen banking machines. They conducted the election on those machines. All Venezuelans were required to vote on those machines, and they stole the election. Hugo Chavez was extremely pleased, and being a man who controlled lots of resources, he gave them $200 million to perfect their system. He basically said, "Try to perfect it, and let's use it in elections in Latin America." During the early 2000s, there were a series of elections in Latin America with surprising results, where leftist candidates succeeded when the polling showed differently. These included Evo Morales in Bolivia, Daniel Ortega in Nicaragua, and others. And it was all done through through the use of these voting machines. They were able to get earn the contracts to run the elections in these countries. In around 2006, after a number of successes, they decided, well, let's go for the big fish, which is the United States. They established a company in Boca Raton, Florida, called Smartmatic. It was run by the same 3 Venezuelan engineers with the same software that had been refined and perfected. The first election that they ran, the first commission that they get to run an election, was in Cook County, Illinois, in the 2008 Democratic primary. And it pitted Barack Obama against Hillary Clinton and others. And Hillary Clinton was the favorite because she had the highest public profile, having been first lady and serving as a senator in New York State. And they were able to switch enough votes to Barack Obama where he won. We know this because the men who did this investigation, Gary Brunson, who I mentioned before, and Martine Rodil, they went out and they recruited as many as 18 engineers who worked for the Venezuelans, who helped build this software and had access to the source code, which is the DNA of the software. So they were actually participants in stealing a number of these elections that I describe in the book, including the primary, including the Democratic nomination vote in Cook County. And they can, they laid out like exactly how it was done. And Hugo Chávez actually said to his head of security, and he's a gentleman who left Venezuela and now lives in Florida, so we have access to him and have interviewed him. And Hugo Chávez said, watch me, I am going to vote the first African-American president in the United States. And he succeeded. Smartmatic, what the Venezuelans did, they were very, very clever. They through corporate shell games and manipulation, they were able to hide the Venezuelan ownership of the software. A couple of people called this out. A couple of U.S. officials called this out, particularly Carolyn Mahoney, who was a congressman from New York. She wrote to the Treasury Department and said, I have a feeling that this software is not American owned. And they did an audit of the software, and they rejected it. They said it was not. It had too many holes in it, too many back doors in it. It looked like it was designed to steal elections rather than to maintain the integrity of elections.
Correct.
And the same thing happened in California, but they were able by selling the company, by moving it to different places. I won't get into all the corporate shenanigans because they're very complex. They were able to to fool people. At this point, China, their attention perked up, and they started to put massive amounts of money into this organization, and they developed basically a criminal cartel of enemies of the United States, who saw this as one means to sort of destabilize the United States, divide us, and attack us from within. The criminal cartel includes Russia, Cuba, Venezuela, Iran, and China. And they started to go out and win through their companies, mainly in the United States. The company that they used was Dominion, but it was all the same software.
100% correct.
Excuse me?
100% correct.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was going
all the same software, and it's in other companies as well.
Yes, it is.
And they were able to win contracts to run elections in counties, election districts across the United States, really focusing on the key election districts. They control almost all of them, and so this was not this was a very scientific endeavor, very sophisticated, using hundreds of engineers. And today, they control the most important election districts in the United States, and 72, their software is used in 72 other countries in the world.
I can tell you that they are manipulating the rolls side of the problem in every state in America. I've already proven that.
Yes.
But they don't have all the machines. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
But all the biggies they got. I know that
Yes.
for a fact.
Yes, yes. And they have, you know, and because they have so much money behind them, they're
Yes.
able to corrupt buy off a lot of people. And a lot of people, I think, are kind of unaware of what they've gotten themselves involved in. But
yeah, they're not just bought off. A lot of them are controlled.
Yes.
And so you're right. They're in high places. They are under control and bought off. 100%. I can vouch for that. Go ahead.
Okay. Now the shocking part of this is that when Elon Musk was called in at the beginning of the Trump administration,
right,
and formed Doge,
yes,
which was looking for government inefficiency. One of the first agencies he looked at was the USAID.
Spot on.
And within USAID, there was this group called CEPS. It stands for the Coalition for Elections and Political Process Strengthening. Yeah, it sounds like a pretty innocuous.
Strengthening.
Right, good thing. But basically, what it was billions of dollars that was set aside to market Smartmatic software that they knew was corrupted to countries all over the world. So the American people, without knowing it, have been, we've become part of the problem. We are actually corrupting other countries, and other countries. When I first put this book out, I started to hear from election officials and people in other countries basically saying, yeah, we have this same software, and there are really, we've had really unusual results of various different elections. So this is not just a U.S. problem; it's a global problem, and the system is run by people who want to destabilize democracies all over the world. And so that's kind of what we're up against. The good news is that when my friends Gary and Martine first completed their investigation in about 2023 and started going to members of Congress and the FBI, they were basically told, you better go into hiding.
Right.
We're going to come after you.
Correct.
Congress people on both sides of the aisle kicked them out of their office. They didn't want to look at the evidence. But with the election of Donald Trump, there has been a change.
They're braver now. I agree.
They're braver.
I've sat in rooms with congressmen and showed them evidence and shown them data. I mean, long meetings, 3-4 hour meetings. This isn't speculation. I'm showing them hard data, hard evidence.
Right.
And recently, as I was walking to the door, one of them shook my hands and he looked me dead in the eye and he says, Dr. Frank, you have no idea the forces you're up against. And then he left.
Wow.
So
Wow.
they know it's a big problem too. And so I think part of the reason why a lot of our legislators in Congress are afraid of this issue is because their lives are on the line.
Yes.
I mean, I saw somebody here's from Louisiana, and if you noticed, when we exposed that all the Dominion machines in Louisiana were connected and being manipulated during the election, we exposed that. And Kyle Ardoin, the Secretary of State, who I met with and hacked into his machines right in front of his face, he was going to decertify them all. Well, as soon as it became known he was going to do that, he suddenly disappeared for months.
Wow.
And then when he reemerged after the election and we brought the evidence forward again, he had to resign. So, I mean, he would rather resign than admit that he met with me. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how, I mean, so there are huge forces at play here. This isn't just a couple of guys in a back room.
No.
They're well funded.
Yeah.
It's an international effort,
Yes.
and anybody who hates America is funding it because this is how they're going to take over. Yeah.
Unfortunately, members of our intelligence community have been compromised as well.
That's correct.
And so even President Trump, who really wants to expose the irregularity in the
I vouch for that.
election, he is being, you know, he is very frustrated as well. But
Agreed.
as you say, we're making progress, and
Yes, we are.
the tone is changing, and more people are reviewing this evidence on a statewide basis, on a district basis,
Yes.
on a, you know, reading my book and so on, and this is starting to penetrate the American consciousness and getting through the noise of the mainstream media. It's a fight. And we are, you know, we're all in it, and we're here to try to save our constitutional democracy.
In 2021, there were several of us, and you mentioned several of them in your book, that were fighting, including Sidney Powell and Patrick Byrne and Mike Lindell and me. Mr. Lindell made 2 documentaries about my work. But all of us at that time were in the mindset that all we had to do was show everybody that the machines were hacked.
Yeah.
And show everybody that, and show our legislators. I personally have met with 24 secretaries of states and 24 AGs hacking into their elections many of those times, right in front of their faces. We hired penetration testers during elections in Ohio to hack in through the exact back doors you've been talking about and prove it to the Secretary of State of Ohio, Frank LaRose. And whenever we did this, the Secretary of State didn't go, we have to fix this.
Yeah.
The Secretary of State calls in the FBI and prosecutes us.
Yeah.
You mentioned Smartmatic. They only have one county that they're officially in charge of right now. That's Los Angeles. But I was in that lawsuit. I was subpoenaed because of my involvement investigating the equipment around the country. And I mean, I had to do depositions and all that crazy stuff.
Well, this has been, I mean,
this is real. The war is real.
This is absolutely a fight.
Yes.
A difficult fight because
it's a war, baby. Art of war. We got to fight it like a war.
It is a war, but I think, you know, we're making progress. I'll say that.
Yes, we are.
Maybe we're 50% there or 60% there. The Justice Department has, as I said, and the FBI has now examined all this evidence that's presented in my book. They've subpoenaed all of the computer engineers that we recruited from the criminal cartel, and they've checked out all of their evidence, and they found out that it's all real. The Minister of Interior of Venezuela, who was arrested in 2013, who is now in prison in New York State, Hugo Chávez, has corroborated all of this. He told us that he had a monitor, Smartmatic monitor, on his desk.
I've seen those, by the way, with my own eyes,
where he could see that the results of the elections
in real time. You could see him coming in on the tabulators. I've seen that. I know that's real. And
he was in. He also claimed that in, I forget which election it was, the minister, I think it was the Interior Minister of Iran, a Chinese high official. They were all there in Caracas. They have a big center where they run these elections, and they were all there witnessing it. It's not an accident that Trump just took care of Venezuela. I think he had a little. No, this has a lot to do with it. This has 100%. It has a lot to do with it. I mean, these Martine and Gary are real heroes, and they have presented a lot of evidence to the Trump administration, including the 20,000, the names of the 20,000 Tren de la Agua members who came across the border into our country. Wow. And the ICE agents are out, trying to arrest now. Right. This was all, you know, what's very interesting about all of this is that all intelligence collection from Venezuela was basically shut down during the Biden administration. So nobody really was paying attention to what was going on in Venezuela. And that was by design. That wasn't an accident.
Agreed.
And so, you know, a lot of things that they were able to launch a lot of initiatives against the United States. A lot of the social changes that we've and disruption that we've seen over the last 10 years was actually funded by Venezuela. It was not, you know, you know, George Soros and all of his foundations and Black Lives Matter and the whole trans movement and so on. These are not organic.
We agree.
They're not organic. They're funded by our enemies, and they are funded for the purpose. The Chinese call this what is it?
Fifth generation warfare.
Yeah,
ideological subversion.
There's another name for it. Unrestricted warfare. There are two Chinese colonels who wrote a book. The strategy, you can buy it on Amazon. It's been translated into English.
Yes.
And the whole thing is like, we're not going to take you on militarily, nose to nose. We're going to undermine you. We're going to steal your intellectual property.
Yes.
We're gonna do everything we can to corrupt your system from within, and then you're going to be so weak that you're just going to fall on your own. And this is what they do, and we see evidence of that all over. I mean, it's everybody's heard the stories, and unfortunately, they're true. And we're at a point, at a very dangerous sort of tipping point right now. That if we don't solve this, if we don't defeat these criminal cartels, I don't know if we're going to survive. And the president is we have a president who is sympathetic. His administration is unsteady because there are a number of people in it who are not on our side.
I agree with that.
But we've got to make our stand now. And so I think, we have to alert everyone we know who wants to preserve this country. And we have to petition our legislators and make noise. And because the mainstream media, even a lot of podcasters are bought and sold by, their ownership is not, is overseas, it's Chinese money behind it, or Qatari money or something else. So it's like an infection, a disease that we have to, a virus that we have to rid our system of. And
I was talking to Sean Smith earlier today. Some of you might know Sean. He's one of the leading machine guys in the country. He maybe Clay Parikh along with him. They probably know more about the hardware in our elections than anybody. I was talking with him, and he said a really good comment. He said that once you have the tools, which the machines provide, then bad actors can use them. And so it isn't always just like one guy sitting there at the grand poobah with the knobs controlling the elections. They've provided the tools at a price.
Yes.
And then that enables anybody to steal any election anywhere. And there are really more than one way. It's the machines aren't always flipping votes. And you described this nicely in your first chapter a minute ago when I read it. The machines are not merely flipping votes. They're providing all the intel in real time throughout the election to allow multiple ways of cheating to take place. Yes. One of my favorite things, I always show people this example. I said, people always want to do recounts after an election. And I always say, no. It doesn't matter how many times you count the cash in the register. What matters is how many of the bills are counterfeit. Okay. And in other words, a huge way of stealing the elections is that in real time, the machines are showing you what's happening. And then you just stuff ballots for guess who? people who haven't voted or who are not going to vote or who are not real voters. And all those systems are integrated. So when people think about our election machines, they usually think about the tabulators. Oh, that Dominion machine over there. But they forget that that's only one of a group of computer systems that are all working in concert.
Yes. Yeah. And they have, I mean, like I said, that they are very sophisticated people.
Very.
They have found that, you know, they own a lot of the audit companies as well.
Yes.
They have the software system itself has something like 14 backdoors built into it.
I know, I've used a few.
So they can use, you know, 1 and 4 in one district and
Yep.
3 and 13 in another. They
Mhm.
continually change it up to try to fool people. And all the machines are connected to servers in Serbia that are run by China. They're Huawei servers.
Yep.
People have asked me, well, how did Donald Trump get elected in the 2024 election?
Yeah.
Well, we have friends who are, we could call them white hat hackers,
Yes.
who shut down all the servers in Serbia the week of the election. So they were able to frustrate the steal.
That keeps the bad guys in the dark.
Yes. And that was the way. Now that worked once. You know, we got to solve this before
Right.
the next election comes up.
Yes.
Because we can't depend on them. The enemy of the cartel will figure out a way to block it this time. These people are they're diabolical is what they are, and they're very determined, and they have a lot of money behind them, and they've done a lot of infiltration into our system on the
100%.
state, local level, and on
100%.
the federal level, all the way into the White House.
I've been shocked how much fraud I find at school board races. And when you think about it, you know, everybody likes to think that at the top of the ticket. But I was just in a county in Oregon recently where it's like a 4-to-1 MAGA county. Yes, Oregon has those on the east side of the state. They're very red over there.
Mhm.
And they were like, "Oh, what are you doing here, Dr. Frank? Everything's good." And I'm like, "What do you mean everything's good?" "Well, you know, Trump won here 4-to-1, so we know our elections are okay." And I said, "Well, wait a minute. Tell me about your spring election with your school board." And everybody all at once threw their hands up. It's like it was on cue. They're like, "Oh." And it's like, we have 5 out of 5 flaming liberal school board members. Now, wait a minute.
Yeah, how did that happen?
How can you be a 4-to-1 MAGA county
Yeah.
and your school board is solid blue? And the answer is turnouts are low. A small amount of cheating is all you need.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is take over all the school boards in the country. And guess what? You own the next generation. And so
That's right.
this is a long term. I love that. That's the point you made in your book, that this isn't just the last few years. This is a long term effort, a long term strategy for taking over our country, and that's part of it.
Yeah. And you think of like all the information centers, right?
Yes. Oh man.
You know, if you control the information that the American people get,
big time,
then you control what they think, that they don't have access to information that you know, goes against the narrative that you're trying to push. So where do they go? They've gone in and they've controlled all the schools, colleges, you know, the media, social media, all of that, and they, you know, they want to tell us what to think. They want to
right,
you know, create this sort of virtual reality that is their reality that they can control, and we need to fight all of that because it's you know, they're pushing ideas that are not helpful and are destructive to our youth. You know, when we talk about the unrestricted warfare in that book, they spell out, you know, these different ways, and one of them is through drugs.
100%.
You know, the Chinese are, although fentanyl is absolutely illegal in China, they ship all the precursor chemicals to Mexico, and they
Yes.
I have a friend, somebody I met through a friend of mine in Homeland Security, and he's a cartel leader in Mexico, and he told me that they don't even bother with cocaine anymore. It's only fentanyl. They ship fentanyl, and they ship it across the border at Tijuana in trucks and cars. And maybe the Border Patrol gets 15 to 20% of it, but they make so much of it and it's so cheap
Yeah.
that it's a booming business. And
I'm a chemist, so I know how easy it is and cheap it is to make that stuff.
yeah, and you know, and you know, look, part of the problem is ours. You know, we have this tremendous, and our youth and people who are, you know, disaffected and lost.
Yes.
You know, there's a tremendous market for that, for those drugs in this country, and we need to also address that too. Why are so many people feeling, you know, like spiritually adrift?
Yes.
And, with no hope, and you know, that is a problem we also need to address.
I tell people we need a political and a spiritual revival, and we're in both categories, and a lot of us on the ground are doing that work. Let's do one more question with you before you go, because we got to. Hey, honey, I'm doing an interview right now. Okay, sorry about that. Oh, my daughter, she wants attention, so that's cool. So I noticed that you had some solutions, and I, since you focused so much on the electronic, on the machines, clearly the solution is to to get rid of the machines. Yes, you want to give us a couple of statements on that, and then we'll go to some questions.
So the machines, just so that you understand, the parts are all made in China.
100%.
The parts are shipped to Taiwan, and the machines are assembled in Taiwan and slapped with "Made in Taiwan" labels and so on, and identification, and then they're loaded with Venezuelan software. So, you know, what could go wrong? Like probably the most important activity we involve ourselves with in citizens is being run on machines that are not made here, using technology that hasn't been created here. You know, we need to take this seriously, as it should be, and we need to change this and get control of it. One way we can do that is to get rid of the machines completely. If you talk to Elon Musk and other computer experts, they will tell you there is no system that can be created that, and you know this better than I do, there is no system that can be created that is 100% safe. Right?
If banks can't do it and they spend billions of dollars on it, our military can't do it, they spent billions of dollars, how can we expect our local governments to do it? It ain't going to happen.
It ain't going to happen. And it's a fight we'll never win.
Right.
So what we need to do is go back to paper ballots with IDs. So you have to identify yourself as the person on the ballot, and as a citizen of the United States with the right to vote. And you have to have paper ballots that are preserved and can be recounted and so on and so forth. It's pretty simple, and it can be instituted tomorrow.
Yes.
We have to fight through all of this political nonsense.
And that's a local fight, by the way. And
yes, it is. Yeah, it's not a federal government thing.
Too many people are sitting around on their hands waiting for Trump to fix it. It's a local fight, and in many states, it's already legal to do hand counts. And I mean, for example, in Maine, it's decided town by town, and in Wisconsin, it's decided by community. It's already in place in a lot of places that people just don't even know. So we're waking people up and bringing it back local. Let's take some questions, because we're supposed to be the most engaging program, and we haven't engaged our people yet. So how about Sharon? You had your hand up first. How about you go first? Sharon, she had her hand up.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Hey, Sharon.
Hey.
What's your question?
Nice to see you, Dr. Frank. So I am actually in Delaware County, Pennsylvania.
I know right where that is.
It's pretty bad where I am. I'm also a minority inspector here, and I've caught out a lot of things the last few years.
Yeah.
We have the poll pads. They call it poll pads.
Yes.
And it's actually an iPad. They changed that.
Right.
And I'm trying to do things a little bit at a time. But I agree, like with the kids, I saw in my kids' school for the last 20 years, and it's really scary how much they dumb down the kids.
Yes.
Like, if we can try to get a whole, try to help the 20-somethings, like try to wake these kids up, then that's going to be a whole other. Because
do you have a question for Ralph, or just wanted to chime in?
Yeah, like what does he suggest?
In terms of the schools,
Yeah.
yeah, I think, look, I think, we have been a little bit, us citizens, we've been a little
Lazy,
lazy. Yeah, that's, I'm
apathetic.
trying to find a nicer word. It's lazy is the right word. And we need to get engaged on all levels. You can't trust anybody. These things are our children's education,
Yes.
how our votes are handled. All of these things are just too important to be left to others to decide, and to figure that, oh, I send my kids to school. That's my duty as a parent, and the teachers take over from there. No, because there are people who have an agenda to sort of, like, as you say, dumb down and corrupt our children.
Ideological subversion. Hey, Ralph, you're up next.
Yeah, hi. My name is Ralph Cushney. I'm on the Hawaii State Elections Commission. What are the chances that the feds are going to be looking at the 2024 elections? So we have a bunch of issues out in Hawaii and the state. We don't have the votes to do anything. We did take a vote to conduct an audit to count envelopes from the Big Island. There's a 25% discrepancy on how many envelopes were received versus
Nothing to see here, folks.
Counted. So, but they're basically, now we're in a stall game and they're running the clock out.
Yeah.
So what's the chances that the feds are going to be looking at the 2024 election?
I just got to say, if you're waiting for the feds, your strategy is the wrong strategy. You have to build it from the ground up in your own community. But that's my quick answer. Ralph, what do you say?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you have to put pressure on everyone. You have to put pressure on your local authorities, and
That's bottom up.
We have to put pressure on our congressmen and senators. The American people need to let them all know that we're watching and that we want this system. We want change. And if we don't get change, we're gonna, vote in the people that will change things, because it's the corruption is deep.
You can't vote in people who are going to change things because you're fixing broken elections with broken elections.
Yeah. So it's got to be. We got to. What you people are doing is exactly the right thing, and it just has to be more widespread. Because I can tell you that even on the level of the White House, we tell Trump certain things and we present him with certain information, and then other people close to him whisper in his ear and
Correct.
say, you don't need to bother and look at that.
I've witnessed that myself. Ralph's exactly right.
Yeah.
Ashley, you're up. Or Amber, is it? Amber, sorry.
Amber. Thank you, Ralph, for coming on tonight. I just have a question. What would you say to Americans and patriots who feel like their country has been taken from them?
Take it back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Don't stand for that.
Mhm.
I don't. I'm not going to back down. I know Dr. Frank isn't. I mean, we just have to, it's a fight. And we have to,
Taking back our elections, baby.
Yeah. And it's it's not one party or another. It's there's corruption on both sides, and we've just got to root it out, and demand that we want free and open elections, and we want to be able to everything to be open. We don't want foreign software used to run our elections. We don't want them run on foreign made election machines. This is too important to us.
I would hold up Shasta County, Northern California, as an example of this. I was just there last week. Clint Curtis is the new ROV there. And I bet you Ralph knows who Clint is, because Clint's the one who wrote some of the prototype software used to cheat back in the early 2000s. But he has basically we have been fighting there aggressively since 2021. We've taken back our elections. We have cameras on everything. Anybody in the public is able to come in and see anything and everything at any point in the process. So you can do this, and that's just one example. A lot of places around the country. But if you're waiting for Washington, hell's going to freeze over. It's got to be a local movement.
And as Dr. Frank can tell you, you can expect resistance. It's
Huge.
not going to be easy. It's a fight.
100%.
It's a fight.
Who's next? Is that is it Rosemarie who's next? You guys help me out here.
I believe I may be. First of all,
Okay, well, go ahead.
First of all, I want to thank both of you. Your information has been so enlightening tonight. And I'm going to ask you if you would kindly write a page for our magazine, which goes out throughout the country. We want to get information out, and this is very, very important since there are so many people who are unaware of all of the information that you have been sharing with us tonight. And my other my question is,
I would be happy to. Yes.
I just put my email in the chat so you can.
And I'll put mine there too.
Perfect.
Well,
just invite us. We're happy to do it.
Yeah.
And by the way, Rob's a good writer.
Right. We need that. We in fact, what I would like to do is do a special edition of the magazine and have all of your information as much as you can get to us with a special edition, because it is so important for our citizens to understand what is happening in this country. In addition, don't you feel that a lot of the problems that we are facing in this country, in education all over, is due to the problems and the unrest that is happening in this country? And how can we address that?
Well, this one's really about elections. That's like another whole show. We could talk about that.
Yeah.
But if you have something to say, go ahead, Ralph.
But I just think we have to find common ground, and we have to realize that a lot of this threat comes from overseas and was
100%.
deliberately directed at us, both Democrat and Republican. And it's like, we're fighting a war, like we were fighting a war in World War II, and you didn't care who your buddy was next to you, as long as he was a patriot and wanted to preserve the country. And we have to think of it that way. This is a war, and it's fought by different means than we're ever used to. But it's called hybrid warfare, and that's what we're engaged in.
I tell everybody, Kentucky has 105% of their people registered, and that's a red state. And Oregon has 105% of their people registered, and that's a blue state. It doesn't matter whether it's red or blue. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or Democrat. If I was a Democrat, I'd be pretty mad what they did to Hillary. It's on both sides. If I was Bernie, I'd be mad what they did to him. So we want free and fair elections. Who's next?
Yes, I'd like to say you two are probably the scariest two together. I'm going between mad and terrified. But Ralph, I got a question for you.
Sure.
You said the first time they really got into the American voting was between Barack and Hillary, correct?
Yes.
And do we know who commissioned that intervention?
Who ran the election?
Yeah.
Who ran the election in Cook County?
Who commissioned the group to swing it towards Barack instead of Hillary?
Well, it was the Venezuelans. It was the Venezuelan dictator Hugo Chávez. He said, and he has admitted this, that he wanted to elect the first black president in the United States, and he was going to start in Cook County, Illinois. And so he helped Obama win the primary in the Democratic primary in Cook County, and that became that was a while ago, but that was a big shock. And so immediately he was sort of a darling of the news, and he got a lot of attention to him, and that propelled him to the Democratic nomination. And also the Venezuelans and the Chinese used their software to help him win that election, win both of his elections.
All right, I'm looking at the clock. Susan, you're up next.
Thank you.
I'm doing my moderator job here. Susan, go.
Yes, you're right on point there, Doctor. Nice to see you guys, and thank you so much for this presentation. It's stellar. I wish we could repeat it again, and just put it out for all the world to see. I was going to bring you back to Hawaii with some of the frustrations that I know that Ralph has he's pointed out. It's more than even, I think, just grassroots. We've got hundreds of people that turn out that flood the internet with information, and yes, people are waking up, but you've got these people that are so darn entrenched. They will not go. We can all sit there and demand their resignation. We demand them to walk. We can prevent all the evidence, all the data, and they're still not going to budge. It's almost like you're going to have to bring in some military components to actually physically remove these people because they will not budge. And that's really what we're dealing with. A lot of people across the chain of the islands have been activists for decades. And this is not our first rodeo, any of this, on so many different levels. So it's not, I don't think, even the lack of activism, although of course COVID created a lot of.
All right, Susan, I have to cut you off because we're trying to be fast here. Did you finish that comment?
Okay, so if there's clearly established there's foreign interference in our elections, wouldn't it be the next step to do a do-over in the elections going as far back as 2020? I mean, isn't that the next step?
No, the next step is going to be decertifying the elections, purple thumbs, National Guard. That's what's going to happen next. That's my prediction. Ron, Nevada.
I just unmuted.
Oh, then you remuted. Now there you're unmuted. Bring it on, Ron.
Well, thanks for being here, both of you guys. The information is of national security caliber. My question, has there been any conversation about the use of mail-in ballots? I live in Nevada, and they send mail-in ballots to everyone. And there needs to be a conversation that not everyone should get a mail-in ballot. Maybe overseas military and disabled. That's the way it used
the
to
quick
be.
answer to your question is yes, there's been a lot of discussion of it, including from Trump himself. And I'm trying to do the lightning round here, so excuse me for jumping in there. Ralph, do you want to say anything? And then we're going to the next.
I would just say that that's one of the techniques that they use to steal elections. And that's 100%. One of the reasons why our border was open for 4 years, because they could let in a lot of people and give them mail-in ballots, get them registered for driver's licenses, and that's the way they get their names into the system.
That's right. Frank from Kansas, you go.
Hey, thanks, Dr. Frank. Hey, Ralph, have you ever read this book? If you can see it.
I can't see it. I can't see it. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's called
What's the name of it?
Coup de 12, the enterprise that bought the presidency, written by David Martin.
I haven't read it, but I will.
Okay, so I'm going to read your book. This was published in 2011 for not just the purposes of what you just talked about, but the first chapter talks about not that Hugo Chávez's name is mentioned, but the whole choice and the process of which a Black president was chosen, just like you said, in Illinois was kind of round one. So loved what you had to bring to the table.
Repeat the name of the book, Frank.
Oh, Coup de 12, the enterprise that bought the presidency.
Type it in the chat, would you?
All right, cool.
Hey, Frank from Victoria from Hawaii, you're up.
Ralph, thank you so much for coming on.
I'm doing my moderator job, so forgive me for butting in.
You're doing good. I will forgive you this time. In an age of technological advances, what's your perspective on blockchain voting?
You want to talk about it or me, Ralph?
You go ahead, Frank. You're the computer guy.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
Blockchain only protects the information from point A to point B. Doesn't control what got put in. Doesn't control what you do with it after the fact. Blockchain is an excuse people use to make people think that they can secure elections. How about that for an answer?
Like it. Perfect.
Okay, next. Who's next?
Hi, this is Brett, Florida. So I have a hard time believing that Hugo Chavez thought up this all by himself. And I'm wondering if you have evidence of non-state actors behind him, specifically open borders and those.
Yeah.
That's for you, Ralph.
Yeah, we have all the evidence. We have people recruited people from within his regime. We have emails. We have documentation. It wasn't just him. He was the one who had the problem, and he brought in experts to solve it for him, and was very pleased with the result and rewarded them handsomely.
All right. How many more questions can I take, Ashley?
We only got 4 more.
4 more. Okay. And so is that Mageso next? Oh, or Christian, you're up.
All right. One of the things that wasn't mentioned was the fact that your county supervisors are the ones that do all the voting for each county here in California. And,
ROVs, they call them.
Yeah, and they're the ones that are in charge of whether or not they're going to use machines, paper, whatever, and report back to the state. The state directs them what to do, but they don't have to do it. They can follow their own county.
Check out Shasta County.
Right. So I live in Ventura. Ventura is very corrupt, but we need to actually pinpoint good people to be county representatives.
Ventura uses Dominion. I've been there. I know you guys' machines are all a mess. Who's next? Mageso.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Yeah, you mentioned school boards have been infiltrated, but also religious organizations and
Yes.
churches have been infiltrated as well.
Yes.
In Hawaii, our equipment is Hart into Civic out of Texas.
Yes.
In your investigations, is there a Venezuelan or other nefarious actors within their Hart into Civic organization
Yeah.
who creates not only their software, but as any of their officials, whether it's Hart into Civic, Dominion, or Smartmatic, in the forefront of indictments or things to come?
Yes, yeah, they're all. A lot of them are being. I've been subpoenaed. That indictments are forthcoming, and Hart InterCivic is also uses the same software. Pretty much all the voting machines now have been infected basically with the same software, and the name of the company kind of doesn't matter. In fact, Dominion, they just sold themselves to a company called
Liberty
Voting, and the Justice Department is investigating that sale as well, because why would a company that was worth billions of dollars and so successful suddenly sell off all their assets for not that much money to another company? We suspect that it's another one of these sort of corporate games that they play to hide the ownership.
Yep. Well done. Teresa.
So thank you so much, Dr. Frank and Ralph. It was an excellent show tonight. Really, really awesome. I just have one question. Do you think that these people, preferably like Obama and Hillary, will ever be charged for this stuff?
I think there's a possibility that Obama will be charged. Yes.
I hope so.
I don't know about the Clintons, but he was more directly involved with this whole system, and that a lot of the people around him were very corrupt. And I know that they will be indicted, and it might reach him as well.
Patrick Byrne is the one who set up the sting on the Afghanistan nuclear sale, and with Hillary, the $18 million. And Patrick Byrne, when I said, well, they're going to indict her, he looked at me like I was some kind of rube, because I was. And he says, Dr. Frank, you don't prosecute your assets.
Yeah.
In other words, once you have the goods on someone, they're controllable. And so that's the situation we're in right now. I mean, you remember when Hillary was First Lady or Secretary of State, wherever she was secretary, she had that huge stack of FBI files on her desk. What do you think she's doing? She's getting her control levers on everything. So the corruption is one thing, but the corruption enables control. So no, I don't think they're ever going to get prosecuted. I think what will happen is they'll cop a plea for immunity, and then they'll reveal. So that's my opinion.
Yeah.
And yeah. All right. Did we get it? Are we missing anybody?
I'm gonna ask real quick. How do we get your information, like your book, Ralph? And then second part question: would you come back to Town Hall in the future? We really enjoyed.
Sure, I would be happy to. You can find my book on Amazon. It's the easiest way to find it.
Stolen elections to take down. Okay.
It says the takedown of democracies worldwide. It's not just about America. He's right on target. And that's why most of Europe has eliminated the machines. They say they're too easy to hack. What's wrong with us?
Yeah.
I thought we wanted to be like Europe.
Well, Dr. Frank, amazing job hosting tonight, stepping in for Valerie and I. Appreciate
My
that.
pleasure. My pleasure. Hope things are good at home.
Ralph, thank you for joining Town Hall tonight, and we look forward to coming on. Hopefully you enjoyed the engagement tonight and the questions.
I did. This is very hopeful. It's wonderful to see people engaged.
Outstanding. Well, thank you, Ralph. Definitely look forward to you coming in the future. Dr. Frank, please stay and listen to some election integrity things to be reported to you from Hawaii in a second. Thank you, Ralph, for coming on. I'm going to hand the intel round over to both Rob Ohio and Magaso. So Magaso, get ready. I'm going to put you up here in Spotlight. And Rob Ohio, same. And then I think Ralph Cushing wanted to bring up something that's going on in Hawaii. Go ahead, Ralph, and then Magaso and Rob will take over intel. Thank you, Ralph. You got to keep it unmuted, Ralph. Try it one more time. Ralph Cushing, unmute. There you go. Go ahead with your report.
Yeah, so in our last meeting, we've identified the just basic inventory control issues, and the commission voted to have ask the legislature to conduct an audit. The legislature responded to us, said that legislation needs to be passed to conduct an audit. We also sent a letter to the auditor. The auditor declined to conduct an audit, and this is for the 2024 election. So the legislative session just started yesterday, and there's no bills being passed to conduct an audit. So then the Democrat legislators also introduced legislation to protect the chief elections officer. It's making it harder to fire him. And then they also introduced a bill that in the case that he gets fired, that the Attorney General will be the chief elections officer till he's replaced. And for the commission, the deputy attorney generals that are assigned to the commission are blocking every transparency effort. We've passed motions to have county clerks sign under penalty of perjury that chain of custody is being kept, and the attorney general's office has blocked all of those good motions that we've made. So we in the last meeting, we passed a motion to hand count the envelopes to see if they came through the mail. We have our next meeting on the February 4th, and we're going to see what they're going to do. But I imagine that they're going to find some excuse on why we can't conduct that. But the records show that there were over 19,000 ballots that were added electronically with no paper audit trail of where they came from. The post office, they're saying they came through the post office, but the post office doesn't have any receipts. And what's interesting about this is that no one has reached out to the post office. So we sent a letter from the commission. We have not heard anything back. We asked the chief elections officer if he's contacted the post office, and he has not. The county of Hawaii has not reached out to the post office to find out why they haven't provided receipts.
Ralph, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but you're waiting for somebody else to do an audit. Why don't you audit? Do you have access to the voter rolls?
Well, no, we voted to do an audit, And so we're.
But then you're waiting for them to do the audit. What's stopping you from doing an audit now of your own voter rolls and the voter history that shows who voted?
Well, we just got to get through the doors is the thing. And
do you have the voter rolls?
I do not. They won't release those. So we're just simply asking to count the envelopes, put them in 2 stacks, 1 if they came through the mail, 2 if they did not, and count them to see how many we have. And they're preventing us from doing that right now. So
you're telling me that your own party doesn't have a list of who voted in the elections?
They're suing to get the list. The Republican Party is suing to get the list.
Because I've been teaching people how to audit their elections, citizens how to audit their elections, and so you'd have to wait for the officials that way.
Yeah, so we voted to do an audit, to count the envelopes, have volunteers do it, but they won't let us in the door to get the envelopes. That's where we're at right now. To simply walk in, we're ready to go. We're going to get volunteers, and it's pretty simple. We're going to sort the envelopes in 2 stacks.
Yeah.
We're going to put them in stacks of 10 and then stacks of 100 and see how many we have, because with the envelopes, they have all the envelopes are specific to the person and they have to have a signature on them. So it's going to be hard for them to duplicate 19,000 envelopes. So we'll see. But that's where we're at for conducting an audit. The chief elections officer in the last meeting admitted that the only way to audit the statewide voter registration system, which is their electronic system, is to count the envelopes. And so anyway, we'll find out what they're going to do. So that's the long and the short of it, where we're at. And there's lots of shenanigans going on in the background. They just asking for chain of custody documentation. They had the police remove me from our meeting last December for asking for that information. So it's a little dirty over here. So
has the Department of Justice sued Hawaii yet over their voter rolls?
Correct.
And they're not relinquishing them.
Correct.
Got it.
But they give them to Eric with no problem.
Of course they do. And do they? But the parties are entitled to copies.
I have not gotten my hands on it. I've asked. So I don't have.
Let's corner the head of the Republican Party in Hawaii.
What's that?
Corner the head of the Republican Party in Hawaii.
I have.
And because they get copies of the rolls.
Yeah, I don't have them yet.
Because that's how I get them in a lot of states. It's through the Republican Party.
Yeah. Let's push harder on that, Ralph. What can Victoria help you do to get these roles? I mean, if we have people in the GOP that could help us, why are we waiting so long?
That's a great question. They just deny you, and then the next thing you got to go to court or write a lawsuit, or I'll only have so much bandwidth to.
Right. That's why I'm asking about the party, because the party has access to, in most states. I've never heard of a state where the party doesn't have access to the rolls.
Right. I'm trying to get them. So
yeah,
I've reached out to them. I don't have them yet.
Victoria, let's take an action.
The truth is, it's primarily a rhino party. It's not.
So we want the.
Well, we know that, but
Victoria just said in the chat that she has a copy of the rolls. So we're ready. All we got to do is run an algorithm on the rolls, and we can find out who voted and who didn't vote, and you can audit right now. You don't have to wait for them.
Well, let's do that for the Big Island.
Let's get the rolls to Frank. He'll run the numbers. He's the math whiz.
I've been doing this all over the country. I know how to do this. Victoria, how many copies do you have?
So this is the last voter roll from the previous voting.
Does it include the voter history? Does it include the voter history?
It is very extensive. You can get one for a couple $100.
Yeah.
Here we have a problem with the Postal Service and the tracing the envelopes, because anything that is, and we had discussed this in one of the previous election commission meetings, is that the elections commission pays for delivery of these ballots. And even though they know that these people are not there,
Right.
as long as they attempt delivery, they get paid.
Right.
And then after they go to deliver it and they're not there, where does it go? It goes back into the postmaster's office into a box bin reciprocal and then is discarded. So we have felony fraud mail going on.
Right.
So where we honestly, we just need to do a revote. That's where we're at. And it's really going to take the people getting,
Agreed.
pardon my French, pissed off enough
Correct.
and showing up to do it.
I would say the way I get people pissed off enough is I go into their community and we look at their rolls and we show a whole bunch of people who voted who aren't even there and or have been dead. And once we show people that we're not just talking about statistics and numbers, we say, here's actual proof, actual harm that your vote is being stolen from you. That pisses them off. And then you can get them organized. To use your lovely word. That's a perfectly good word.
Do you have the voter rolls? The who voted last election, Victoria?
Not this last election. I have the ones from the previous. I'm sure we can get a copy of them.
That's what we need to do.
Ordering them.
If it's just a matter of ordering them, that's my point. Get it ordered. Let's go. There's nothing stopping you from doing an audit. If you're waiting for them, you're going to be waiting a long time.
Ralph, thanks for the report. Victoria, taking action for us to get the most recent voter rolls and help out with this.
Send me an email, Victoria, and we'll talk about which voter rolls would be especially juicy. And I'll coach you. I'll coach you on that.
Love it.
Outstanding. Rob Ohio, Magaso, you guys got intel round. Dr. Frank, what an outstanding way to host tonight. And thank you for stepping in for Valerie and I. We'll pay our dues, I promise.
Yes, you don't owe me nothing, brother. You bought me a nice dinner down last time I visited you at Sound South.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
You don't charge your fellow foxhole people, right? We're all in the same war.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm happy to step in. Call me anytime. Are you excusing me now? Is that what I'm hearing?
If you're wanting to continue your nightly duties, we're just going to go into the intel round, and Magaso and Rob will help you moderate.
All right. I'm really interested in helping Hawaii, and I mean that in a way because I've been doing this for 5 years now, almost every day of my life, and I can help you realign your way of thinking. The nice thing about Ralph is that he's showing you what's wrong with the machines. And that's great. He's exactly right. But you can't do anything about that because the courts won't let you in. But what you can do something about is the other half of the problem, which is it's not just which ballots you count and how you count them. It's like, are they really the ballots from the voters or not? That's the other half of the problem. And you do have access to that. And there's nothing stopping you from starting now on that. So rather than trying lawsuits and filing lawsuits and getting caught in that mire that I've seen all across the country for 5 years, fat chance ever getting them to do anything. You can do something now. And then the beautiful thing is once you've done that now, you now have probable cause. And once you have probable cause, now you got a court case. In the chain of custody stuff Ralph is talking about, that gives him probable cause. I agree. Probable cause to look at the envelopes. But he can fight that court battle. But while we're waiting for that, there's nothing stopping us from getting probable cause that your elections were stuffed. And those whole bunch of those, what was it, 20,000 ballots more than you had envelopes. I think let's find those voters who didn't really vote, those voters. And then now you've got your ammunition, and that's big. We got a conviction today, by the way, in Lodi, California. This is real. You can do this.
Outstanding.
Okay, I'm rambling now.
Can you talk about that? Who got booked? And what they did?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Did he say yes?
Yes.
Yeah, he wanted to know who got booked.
Oh, Lodi, California, a guy named Khan. We caught him with 71 ballots on his kitchen table. My researchers, my team there in San Joaquin County, brought evidence to the sheriff. And then when he was doing an investigation on a home gambling ring, he was all primed and ready. And he said, hey, wait a minute, what's that over there? And so if you read the indictment, if you read the newspaper article that came out today in California, you'll see that it calls out the fact that our team did this. Our team, and what I want you to do that in Hawaii. You can do this. You don't have to wait for the government to do something. You can do this now, and we have an indictment. Yeah, that's not the only one we have. I'm just not allowed to say, but we have a lot of places where we have
at least 5 more that I'm aware.
There are a lot of them. We have a lot of fraud that we've brought to the officials, and I'm not always allowed to say. We had a grand jury in Central California in a mountain county. I'm not allowed to say the name. And we found several dozens of non-citizens who had voted. But when the grand jury investigated, they found, no, it wasn't the non-citizens who were voting. Somebody was harvesting and using their names to cast ballots. And so the grand jury dropped the case because they had nobody to prosecute. They don't have a perp. What I want to indict is the system. I'm not after a perpetrator right now. That's a whole nother process, and that's a whole long process that takes us off of election reform. Because it's not the evil person that I care about. It's the system, the tools that evil people can use. And that's what this book is about. It's about all the tools that are in place that enable the bad guys. And then it's a whole group of bad guys, different communities, different ways. And there's a dozen ways to cheat. But once you've given everybody the tools, then there are all these different ways to cheat. And they're doing that. And so it's the system we need to indict, not individuals.
Yep.
You could tell I could talk for hours. So I'm just going to shut up unless you want me to talk more.
Rob, take the first.
Actually, I had one question for you, Dr. Franks.
Go ahead.
Governor DeWine just came out with some kind of new legislation for voter integrity.
Yeah, right.
Have you heard of anything of that?
Yes, and it's a joke.
Okay, that fits right in then.
And Frank LaRose, I was with him when Vivek announced because I live down here not far from Butler County. And Frank LaRose got up there and said, oh, yeah, we're doing election reform in Ohio. I took a whole bunch of dead people off the rolls. That's not election reform.
Okay.
Frank LaRose is a con man. And I'm telling you, I met with him in private, and he took that recording and gave it to the New York Times.
Okay, so go ahead and take the first question, or first topic, first topic of Intel. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you much, Dr. Franks. Okay.
Well, go ahead.
First
Rob.
topic on Intel is Trump's Greenland acquisition, his threats, his promises, and how he got his way almost completely from the rest of the world. Does anybody have any comments on that? Okay, should I call on someone?
Well, I think
okay.
today,
Well, Victoria, since you shook your head no, please do. What's your opinion of all this?
Mine?
Yes.
Leave them alone. Just leave them alone. We can't even take care of the people we have in our country right now. Let's fix our own issues first before we take on other people's problems. And I get it. It's very enticing, but let's just not. Let's take care of what we got here at home and then figure that out. We've done a lot in the last year. Let's keep going with fixing home first.
Well, there's
All
a little
right,
more.
thank
There's
you.
a little more.
Frank, you have your hand up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Hey, yeah, partly what Victoria said, I have to agree with. The other thing is, could it be that there are certain parts? Now, I know there's some legal aspects of where people can't own land outright per se. There's something in Greenland, but through various corporations and shells, which as Ralph talked about today, the cartel covers the board 100%. Like someone said, the system, we have to get at the system. The system is like the Darth Vader's, whatever, and you got to get to the core. But could there be people that have a lot of money, have already planted, no one knows that much about it. Could there already be people in the form of a Jeff Bezos or a Zuckerberg or a whatever? You go down that elite list that might already have some kind of domain in that country. I'm kind of saying it from a question because I had someone with a military background who manages the budget for the Middle East for everything that the Army Corps of Engineers does. So he said, hey, Frank, could it be that we already own stuff there in the form of shell corporations or whatnot? So just a thought in that kind of subject.
Okay. Amber, do you have any Minnesota, do you have any information or anything you'd like to share on Greenland?
I'm just kind of curious on how this is all gonna go. I'm kind of just sitting back and
honey?
watching. I really don't have an opinion
What
on
is
it right now, to be honest.
Okay. McGaso, do you have anything
I'm
to
gonna
add to
yield.
this?
I don't know. You guys are kind of cutting out a little bit. So
We put, what was the other thing we had last night?
There's we've been involved in Greenland way back since World War II, and then Obama after that, then Biden after that. So it's not that we haven't been involved in Greenland. But what I got out of today and out of Davos, it appears there's going to be a joint effort centering around the Golden Dome. But the Golden Dome will be put in Greenland. That will protect the people, say, of the Western Hemispheres on that side. And so we are being led down a path that it's going to be a collective effort. And the Greenland deal will get done.
I view it more like a Fortress America, where, when you look at Greenland, where it's located, it's right up to the Arctic Circle. And that's probably going to be the next war that we'll have is over the Arctic.
And we don't talk to.
Well, if you look at it, Greenland is 2,000 miles from Russia, and it's 2,000 miles from the United States. So if Russia was in Greenland, they'd be that much closer to launch missiles our way, for example. So,
yeah. Well, if you go over the poles, or actually Russia, they're 60 miles from Alaska. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know which side of the continent he's going to try to protect, but I can see both the military aspects of it, but I also see where we can do it for abuse too. It's just gathering too much under one saying, this is ours. Like Victoria said, we need to fix what we have before we go looking to plant our flags elsewhere.
So the fix we have, we got to get rid of all the corruption in the politics.
Oh, that may take forever.
It's going to take a hot minute,
tonight.
but yeah, just give it some time. Rosemary has her hand up.
Yes, Rosemary.
Well, from what I understand, China and Russia are already trying to infiltrate the northern part of Greenland and also have some surveillance and some kind of underwater weaponry that is highly secretive. And I don't have all the information on that, but they are, they have some kind of activity going on. And with that, if we turn our backs now, we could be in a lot of trouble in the future. Sometimes a stitch in time saves nine. Well, this could be an instance in which that can happen. In addition, I understand that Trump and his team have worked out a framework in order to be able to do what they need to do in protecting us through the Golden Dome in Greenland and have access to certain areas there. So I think that will work out. So we need to, address the problems now rather than let them escalate.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else want to bring in on this? Sharon, South Carolina, do you have any? Oh, Ron, how could we overlook you? Sorry, I didn't see your hand up there for a while, but what's your take on it?
Yeah, first off, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I think that Greenland is national security plus 10. I mean, we need that. It's critical that we have control up there. And it fits in with Trump's wanting to secure our hemisphere, and it's based on the Monroe Doctrine, and which the other presidents, and Al Gore came out and said that the Monroe Doctrine is dead. He said that not too long back, and Trump is actually reviving the Monroe Doctrine, and I think it's a wonderful thing. If we don't secure that area, the other enemies of our country will, and then we will be in a bad situation. So I think it's imperative that we do have control up there. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you. Sharon, do you have anything to say?
I just agree. I think Trump points out different things in like a nonchalant way for us to look at it. And I think it's probably some way to protect all of us. He's going to unite the world, so they've been planning this for a long time. So there's definitely something to it. Probably maybe there's oil, there's something going on there, and he just wants everyone united.
Well, there's a lot of minerals that we need there for our military. We need those minerals.
Yeah, the rare earth.
That makes sense.
That's why we've been there forever, but it goes way back to even like Begaso said before World War II. Everybody's been talking about it, but he finally pushed the buttons and, well, put our alliances at risk. But sometimes you got to break something old to get something new. Okay.
Well, you got Susie. Susie's got her hand
Oh,
up.
Susan. Okay. I can only see certain. Okay, I got you now. Susan, why? Do you have anything to say into this?
Is she able to unmute?
Yeah, you have to unmute, Susan.
Sorry. Okay, thank you. Anyway, I think there's layers of things that are going on with Greenland. I think strategic military, rare earth minerals, there's a lot of surface issues that are concerns, but also Greenland has been identified for some time as a deep state or cabal stronghold. And I think that's one of the reasons that our past presidents have not successfully been able to acquire Greenland. There are deep underground bases and tunnels there that have been active, and other things that have been going on there. And that's one of the reasons that needs to be taken over and cleaned out and utilized for the proper way that Greenland should be utilized. Also, the people of Greenland are very anxious to be relieved of the infiltration that they are suffering over there. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's something that has to be done for us to move forward and, on a timely basis. So yeah, everything's happening for a reason.
All right, thank you. And
Thank
did you hear about the forced sterilization of the indigenous population by Denmark in Greenland? Did anybody else hear about that?
I heard about it. Yes, they have been doing that. That practice has been going on for quite a while.
And girls as young as 13, I heard.
Yeah, with IUDs, or I forget who it was talking, but they called it an IED. But
yeah.
Okay, Carl, do you have an opinion on Greenland? Yeah, as soon as you find the unmute. Okay, go ahead, Carl. You're muted again, Carl. Oh,
Still
still
muted,
muted.
Carl. He's not seeing it. He's still talking.
Okay. I don't know if he's
Let's-
using a
let's-
phone or.
He's talking. He's not seeing it. So let's continue. If he comes
Okay.
back.
Number 2, Davos 2026. Will it be its last year? After the abuse that President Trump and quite a few other leaders ran on him, looks like the WEF is starting to implode. Does anybody have any comments or question? Particular, what's your take on it? I'm just going to go straight down. Magaso, let's start with you.
Well, what I saw was a few of the world economic people take a knee at this event. I saw the head of BlackRock come out and say that solar and wind power is not sustainable for the data information age. So he just killed the climate change thing as well and the scam that was going on there. Charles Schwab came out and said, we need to have a conversation with the people. We can't tell the people what to do anymore. We need to show empathy. These people have been trapped at this meeting. They've been caught, and now they have to go before the world body and start to do their mea culpa, so to speak, to save their own hair, to save their lives.
I just hope they don't crawl back under their rock and let us forget about them and then come back in another day. Hopefully everybody's going to, well, record all of this, like most other things, everything's recorded.
Yeah.
So it's never going to go away now.
Well, that's why we
Amber,
you got to cut off the head of the snake.
Well, I'd prefer to run it over with a lawnmower and take care of it completely. I don't care about just the head. I want the whole body.
I've run over a snake with the lawnmower and it didn't work. The snake came back.
Oh, cutting your grass too high. Okay, so
well,
Amber, your turn. What was your take on it?
I kind of agree with you guys on it. I really don't have really a take on very much, I guess. You guys are cutting out a lot, so I'm only hearing like half bits of what everybody's saying. So I'm sorry if I'm not catching or I'm not getting like exactly the answers that you guys, whatever, because I don't know if I'm answering right or not because I'm only getting clips.
No.
So
okay. Well,
internet
any
kind of a
answer
little
is the
out
correct
today.
answer. Okay.
So, well, I
You'll be
just
sure
kind of
to
agree with what you guys have been saying. Just kind of done with it. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, you're freezing up.
You catch it?
Okay. Victoria, you're next on the list.
So I'm
we've
going to
got
reiterate
Did Rosemarie get to talk?
what Amber
last
was
one, not
saying.
this time.
Is Carl gonna hit unmute? I'm telling him to unmute. He's gotta use his finger.
There we go.
There he
Okay,
is.
Carl, you're off the hook.
Just
Victoria.
talk. Don't touch any buttons.
Well, I haven't had the chance to catch up on Davos because I was working like 13 hours today. About Greenland, which I think has a lot to do with how Davos probably went. Greenland is a lot to do with the Monroe Doctrine, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the petrodollar and the deal with what went on with Saudi Arabia that started back in 71 got thrown in the garbage can, and that the dollar is basically going to go into the trash, and that China just cut us off from rare earth minerals, meaning, and that the World Bank of World Banks just said that basically paper gold and paper silver is no longer a viable anything, and that real gold and real silver is actually now a real backable, really the only way to back up your currency. So, and it hasn't been like that for a very, very, very long time. So the whole system, as of like this month, really just underwent this huge, massive overhaul. And the US dollar is in this huge, how do I even put it?
Free fall.
We're very much in a reality where the US dollar may not be the world's backable currency. And if that happens, the United States citizen, us, loses our way of life in a very real way. We go to like no longer being a first world country because we don't produce anything. So the only way to really outgrow the problem of what will become rapid, damaging, massive, all-consuming inflation